they know she's going to be done for the season should know she's done for the season. And this is Stephanie White's response as it was an update on Caitlin Clark. Until she can get into practice, and until you guys see her in practice, it's really a status quo. Same as we have been. Simple as that. She's not back practicing yet. I'm sad because she's injured, not angry about it. I'm very angry because they play with heart, play mind games from the beginning. They say she's out for the season.
Recent statements from Indiana Fever head coach Stephanie White have raised significant concerns about Caitlin Clark's potential return this season. The coaching staff's latest update suggests the situation remains unchanged, with no clear timeline for the rookie's comeback. White's response regarding Clark's status was notably brief and non-committal. The coach emphasized that until Clark can participate in team practices and fans observe her training sessions, the circumstances remain static. She confirmed that the star guard has not resumed practice activities, maintaining the same uncertain position the team has held for weeks. This development has intensified speculation about the true nature of Clark's condition and the organization's handling of her injury situation.
Because they play with heart, play mind games from the beginning. They say she's out for the season. She was listed as day-to-day 6 weeks ago. So not 6 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago. 5 weeks ago, she was listed as day-to-day. She was listed as questionable. 5 weeks ago. So somewhere along the lines, they were lying. Somewhere along the lines. And I talk about it in the video, the Sophie Cunningham one. And I don't know, actually, this video might come out first, to be honest. I talk about
the lack of concrete information has created frustration among supporters who believe paying fans deserve clearer communication about their franchise players' status. The timeline discrepancies have become particularly troublesome for observers tracking Clark's progress. Several weeks ago, the rookie was listed with day-to-day availability, suggesting a minor setback that would resolve quickly. However, the extended absence has transformed what initially appeared manageable into a season-threatening situation. These inconsistencies have led to theories that the medical staff may not fully understand the underlying issue affecting Clark. Rather than dealing with a straightforward injury, the situation appears more complex, possibly involving biomechanical problems that have proven difficult to diagnose and correct.
I might come out first, to be honest. I talk about the fact that I personally think they haven't a fucking clue what's wrong with Caitlin Clark. I think the issue isn't that she has this major injury. I think it's that they don't know what's wrong with her. And that she doesn't know what's wrong with her. And by that I mean they don't know specifically why. Like they can narrow it down to like, okay, it's a mechanical issue with her running, but she was running in straight lines 3 weeks ago. And they can
The speculation centers on running mechanics rather than traditional muscle injuries. While Clark demonstrated ability to move in straight lines during recent weeks, the transition to basketball-specific movements and cutting motions may reveal persistent issues that medical staff cannot adequately address. Some believe the organization lacks sufficient understanding of what exactly prevents Clark's return to competition. This uncertainty could explain the vague communication and reluctance to provide definitive timelines as medical staff work to identify and resolve mechanical deficiencies causing recurring problems. The groin injury designation itself has come under scrutiny, with questions about whether this accurately describes Clark's condition. The extended recovery period suggests complications beyond typical soft tissue injuries, potentially involving movement patterns and muscle coordination issues.
They can narrow it down to, okay, there's a mechanical issue which is causing these injuries, but they haven't been able to, whether it be change her running form, whether it be build up the other muscles, they haven't been able to get her into a situation where they figured it out. That's been my theory all along. That it's not a groin issue, it's a issue with her mechanics. Don't think she's coming back this season. Also think her team/agent took it out of the Fever/WNBA hands as they should. CC should not have been traveling with a team with a bad hamstring. Caitlin Clark never had a bad hamstring.
There are indications that Clark's representation may have assumed greater control over her medical decisions, potentially removing some authority from team physicians and WNBA protocols. This shift could explain recent changes in how information about her condition has been communicated. Clark's continued travel with the team despite being unable to practice has raised additional questions about the severity of her limitations. If the injury truly prevents basketball activities, her presence at games and team events suggests either the condition is manageable or the organization prioritizes other considerations beyond pure medical necessity. The current schedule presents a critical window for Clark's potential return, with limited practice opportunities remaining before extended road trips. Her availability for upcoming games depends entirely on her ability to resume full training activities within days rather than weeks.
Caitlin Clark never had a bad hamstring. She never had a bad hamstring. It was her groin. It could literally be a case. It could genuinely be a case where she knew she was done, where a team knew she was done. The team, her strength and conditioning team, were like, look, you're not in pain traveling, go travel. It'll help. Like, you can go around, but, I mean, you're not right playing. And maybe she just wanted to travel to, you know, sign some autographs and kind of help the fans. But, like, it's unlikely.
Analysis of the team's remaining calendar reveals a challenging path for Clark's comeback. The Fever face a demanding stretch of games that will limit practice time and create logistical complications for reintegrating a player who has missed significant time. The upcoming Minnesota game represents the beginning of a crucial period where Clark's status must be resolved. Away games typically offer fewer opportunities for individual workouts and modified practice schedules, making it unlikely she would make her return during road trips. Seattle presents another important milestone in Clark's potential timeline.
It's unlikely Caitlin Clark plays. If we don't see Caitlin Clark in practice, today's Wednesday, if we don't see Caitlin Clark in practice by Friday, she's done. She's absolutely done. And if you guys agree, or if you guys are annoyed as I am, subscribe. We are trying to, our goal is if we can somehow hit 60k subscribers by the end of the year without Caitlin Clark, that's the goal. The goal is 60k without CC. I don't think it's possible, but 60k without CC would be absolutely incredible. It would be incredible.
If she cannot participate in practice sessions before this matchup, her chances of returning this season diminish significantly. The game serves as an unofficial deadline for demonstrating progress toward full availability. The Chicago Sky contest looms as perhaps the final realistic opportunity for Clark's return. Without meaningful practice time before this game, medical staff would lack adequate preparation to ensure her safety and effectiveness during competition. Current projections suggest approximately 6 days remain for Clark to demonstrate full practice participation before missing critical preparation time.
Would be absolutely incredible. It would be incredible. It would be incredible. But if you guys haven't seen it here, obviously this is, how long ago is this when I was making this video? I think this was the Dejanay Carrington game she hooped. But if you look at teams, and by the way, if you click on teams, it sends you into tickets still. And some of these teams you actually can't get into teams via tickets, it sends you to Ticketmaster. But yeah, it's still an issue. So if you look at the Indiana Fever's remaining schedule, they got like, 9 games left? I clicked on roster, didn't I? And this is why I'm so worried.
This narrow window creates pressure on both medical staff and the player to make definitive decisions about her status. The practice schedule itself presents additional challenges, with limited full-team sessions available before playoff positioning becomes crucial. Road trips and game preparation will consume most available time, leaving few opportunities for comprehensive evaluation. Some estimates now suggest a slight majority probability that Clark will not return this season, marking a significant shift from earlier optimistic projections. The extended absence and continued uncertainty have altered expectations about her availability for remaining games.
9 games left? I clicked on roster, didn't I? And this is why I'm so worried about this right now, and this is why it's super concerning. So they go for the 1 away game in Minnesota. It is what it is. Like, it's not that far away. They go to 1 game in Minnesota. They play home. And then they play home to Seattle. And then, like, she has got until Tuesday of next week. She has got till Tuesday of next week to fully be back in practice, which is 6 days. She has 6 days to be fully back in practice.
The situation reflects broader questions about injury management and communication in professional sports, particularly regarding young players facing their first significant health challenges. The The balance between transparency and medical privacy creates complications for organizations trying to manage public expectations. Clark's case highlights the complexity of biomechanical injuries that may not fit traditional recovery timelines. Unlike straightforward muscle strains or joint problems, movement pattern issues can require extensive rehabilitation and careful monitoring before return to competition. The organization's handling of this situation may influence future approaches to player health communication and timeline projections.
Willing to respond to some comments, and you can purchase her book. The link is in the description below. But I want to get to a few more topics, including that backlash. Let me first get to the personal backlash that you've received, Christine. I'll focus that on two people that I've seen publicly. Dejanay Carrington has kind of questioned your character, whether she's doing it cryptically or not. And Cheryl Reeve says you want a villain in your story based on the Olympics coverage and everything like that. How do you respond to those two?
Yeah, well, I like Cheryl.
The disconnect between early optimistic reports and current uncertainty suggests lessons about managing expectations during complex recovery processes. The phenomenon extends far beyond women's athletics alone. Few situations compare to the influence, discussion, and widespread appeal surrounding Caitlin Clark. Social media attention rivals that of LeBron James in terms of...
How do you respond to those two?
Yeah, well, I like Cheryl Reeve, and I think she's funny. And we finally met at the Minnesota game, the Indiana-Minnesota game. I think it was, what was that, August 25th, 26th, as I was now, of course, on the road covering the Fever. As soon as the Paris Olympics ended for this book, I just hit the road, had access to some practices that was exclusive access, and asked Caitlin Clark 40 to 50 questions. She knew they were for the book, most of them in very small.
Undoubtedly, Aja Wilson gained significantly more recognition after Clark's WNBA arrival than she possessed previously. This visibility increase applies to virtually every WNBA player whose names fans can now identify, whereas previously they remained unknown. All-Star Weekend banners became recognizable to broader audiences through this elevated attention. Personal criticism has emerged from multiple sources regarding Olympic coverage and related reporting. Dana Carrington has questioned journalistic character through various public statements, while Cheryl Reeve claims the narrative sought villains for storytelling purposes.
She knew they were for the book, most of them in very small press availabilities or some press conferences, obviously. Again, nothing like an NFL press conference. So I could always got called on, always could ask anything on the record, totally, no holds barred, just what you'd hope for from Caitlin Clark. Just that kind of honesty, and she loves tough questions. And, I know that she said in Time Magazine, something about the questions I asked. Well, the Caitlin Clark I know and that I've gotten to know a little bit, and obviously write this book, she's take anything.
These accusations require direct response and clarification. Professional respect exists for Cheryl Reeve despite disagreements, acknowledging her humor and coaching abilities. Their first meeting occurred during the Minnesota-Indiana game in late August, during extensive road coverage of the Fever following the Paris Olympics. Exclusive practice access enabled comprehensive interviews with Clark, featuring 40-50 questions specifically for book research. These conversations occurred during small press gatherings and conferences, providing unlimited questioning opportunities with complete transparency.
Take anything, anytime. So, again, another reason for people to look at her and just, as I say in the book, 22 going on 40 or 50. The maturity is extraordinary. I've covered thousands of athletes, and she's one of the most mature I've ever seen. And then at young age, absolutely, the most mature. There's no one even close in that sense. And so, anyway, so I meet Cheryl Reeve, and I asked her would she talk to me for the book, and she said, yes, let's do it after the season. And now that the Olympics are over, she kind of smiled.
Clark's willingness to address challenging topics impressed veteran sports journalists. Her maturity level appears extraordinary for someone aged 22, displaying wisdom typically associated with much older individuals. Among thousands of athletes covered throughout decades of sports journalism, few demonstrate comparable maturity at such young ages. No contemporary equals exist in terms of handling pressure and media responsibilities. Reeve initially agreed to book interviews, suggesting postseason timing for detailed conversations.
The season. And now that the Olympics are over, she kind of smiled. And I did cover one game at the Olympics, and I did listen to her scrum, we were all in the mix zone there where we just gather around people. So, so I'd been around her a little bit, but, here's the thing, and I wish it weren't so. I wish Cheryl Reeve didn't do this. I mean, I don't get to pick news, right? I don't get to pick what's the story. News happens. I mean, yeah, I'm not covering every story, right? I'm not writing columns on every topic, but now that I've
Olympic coverage included attending games and press conferences, following standard journalistic practices established since 1984. Breaking news regarding Clark's Olympic team exclusion came through reliable sources before public announcements. Previous comments from Reeve during Olympic media summits suggested unfamiliarity with Clark's competitive background, creating early speculation about roster decisions. Two veteran basketball figures independently provided similar information during chance encounters at games. Neither source knew about conversations with the other, yet both expressed identical concerns about Clark's potential limited playing time and fan reaction implications.
But now that I cover the Olympics. I've been covering the Olympics since 1984. It is not unusual for me to write then about the Olympics, and I was able to break the news from a source that Caitlin Clark was not being put on the Olympic team. And there had already been some buzz and some noise and cacophony of sounds on this topic even before. And that was Cheryl Reeve saying at the Olympic media summit that she had not been in the trenches with Caitlin Clark. Okay. Then I talked to two.
Initial reactions included skepticism about these claims until hearing identical information from separate, trustworthy sources within hours. Both individuals possess deep connections to decision-making processes, with one directly involved and another well-informed about deliberations. The coincidental timing and independent verification suggested serious consideration of fan base management in roster selection. USA Basketball appeared to factor Clark's potential bench role into team selection, despite three-point shooting importance in international competition. Historical precedent exists from 1988 Olympic performance issues that led to professional player inclusion beginning in 1992.
Veterans of women's basketball. I happened to bump into both of them at a game within a couple hours of each other, independent of each other, right around the time that the decision was being made about the Olympics and whether Caitlin Clark would be on the team. I did not know she was not going to be on the team at this moment. And both those people, independent of the other, when I said, hey, what's up? What do you think? Which is what journalists do. We talk to people. We ask questions. Sometimes there's a story. Sometimes there's not. It's a people business, and I love it. And these are people I've known for a while. And I said, what do you
International basketball success often depends on perimeter shooting capabilities that Clark demonstrably possesses. Olympic team selection processes since 1984 never previously included fan reaction considerations as decision factors. The unusual nature of this approach became immediately apparent to experienced Olympic coverage professionals. Earlier incidents during preseason provided additional context for coaching decisions. Reeve's Twitter activity in May included posts about Clark and television coverage disparities between preseason games.
I love it. And these are people I've known for a while. And I said, what do you think? Caitlin Clark, she's going to make the Olympic team or not? Oh, no, probably shaking their head, no. What do you mean? What, like, why? And they said, well, because her fan base wouldn't understand and we don't want them to all get mad at if she only plays a few minutes in the game. And I literally laughed the first time I heard that, Robin. And then a couple hours later, I heard it again, completely independent from another person that I trust. These are totally plugged in people. And I realized, oh, this is serious. This is serious.
The W is more than one player hashtag accompanied tweets from a 50-something coach directed toward a 22-year-old player. Mentoring hundreds of college students throughout journalism career provides perspective on appropriate adult-youth interactions. Targeting young people through social media represents unprofessional behavior regardless of circumstances. The Olympic coach position demanded higher standards when addressing players within selection consideration. U.S. OPC inquiries regarding social media conduct received no responses or acknowledgement.